Hello, it's Cordelia the educator. I hope you are very well. So today we're going to get straight into it. It is finally the summer holidays. Yay, the kids are off for 6 weeks. I don't know how long your kids are off for, but mine are for 6 weeks, and I've been waiting for this time for so long because I love when my kids are off. I'm one of those weird parents, I know. So I hope you're having a great one so far, but let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about the 10 things that you can do to support your child to be super creative while on summer holidays from home. I'm going to share some very simple, very easy mommy tips that you can implement to support your child to open certain areas of their mind and help them to become super creative thinkers and learners. Now I've got my piece of paper right here. Yes, I'm doing it in the car. My kids are in the park right there. So from time to time, I'm going to be looking over here and over there. Ignore me. Let's get to it. So the first one is let your kids get bored. Now I know you might be thinking, oh my gosh, well, when they're bored they get up to mischief. Great, that is fantastic. Our children need time to get bored so they can think about how they're going to best use their time to suit them. So you may have lots of things that they can get on with in the house. Guess what? They're only going to select certain things if you allow them to get board, because we want our children to think independently. And if we're constantly giving them things to do, then they're not independently thinking of tasks. So yes, allow your child to get bored and allow them to improve and expand their own imagination independently. Number 2, give them access to loose parts. Now I know we don't like messy houses, but things like buttons, cardboard pieces, screws, nails, hammers, obviously age dependent, things like pom-pom balls, messy little things that they can use creatively to create something is fantastic for your children because it supports open-ended thinking. It literally supports them to think, what can I do if I put this and this together? What can I create? What might happen if I do this? And that's all about how open-ended thinking is actually there to support your children, and it opens areas of their brain which unfortunately in school they aren't allowed to, or aren't encouraged to do, because in school it's very much sit down, this is what we're doing, this is the outcome, let's get on with it. But by giving them access to lots of loose parts, they're thinking openly and they're using their own imagination to come up with tangible ways to solve problems, which leads us into number 3. You as a parent ask what if questions. Now a mini plug here, our summer workbook is fantastic for this. It gives you a wide range of what if questions that will support your child to answer them in a wide range of ways, which helps them with their vocabulary, their communication, and of course it's fun, funky and entertaining for your child as well. So take a look at our summer workbook. But the what if questions are simply helps our child to think about innovative ways of thinking. So sort of things like, what if the clouds all merged together? What would happen to the world? What if the sun switched off? What if your backpack could talk? What if an octopus came out of the ocean and started talking? What's the first thing that it would say to you? And these fun and funky but innovative what if questions simply get our children to think, but enjoy the process while doing so, because we want our children to actually enjoy thinking and enjoy learning and possibly even enjoy putting down their answers on paper. So what if questions are a phenomenal way of supporting our child's innovative thinking. Number 4, celebrate the mess. Yes, creativity is a messy thing, but we don't care because we are parents, and what we want our children to do is think creatively. So in your home, if possible, give them a little space where they can get messy, and you're not going to worry too much about the mess, and they're not going to worry, what if I spill something on the table, or what if I get the carpet messy? Guess what? If we support them or give them a space to create and not worry about getting messy, then they'll go ahead and do so. Sometimes as parents we put limitations on our children by saying don't spill anything and keep the carpet clean and do this and do that, and by that And in that way, they're thinking, oh gosh, well, I better not do it. And, you know, why not, you know, because I don't want to get told off and such. So really be careful about the space that you create for your child. We want to create a space which invites creativity, which invites them to explore, which invites them to play as well. So if you create the space for them, usually they'll go ahead and use it. So think about the space that you're giving to your child. Number 5, create a yes space. So we want to create, and this kind of leads back to number 4 as well, but we're creating a space where our children aren't scared of getting something wrong. They're not scared of destroying something. So maybe you can create a space where they have the cardboard out, where they have a glue gun, where they have the sellotape, where they can put things together and deconstruct things and try things out, and they're not worried about getting things wrong, because mistakes aren't a mistake unless you stop. You know, there's no such thing as a failure as long as you learn from it. And we want our children to become keen to ask questions, keen to build things, keen to be creative. And they won't do so if they're constantly worried about the outcome or constantly worried about making mess. So we want to make sure that we create a little space for them. It doesn't have to be a massive one. Even if you say, look, after dinner, you know, I'm going to clear the table. This space is yours to be creative, to try something out. I'm sure they'd absolutely love it. The next one is involve them in real life. So things like cooking and baking and tidying up the garden, taking the rubbish out, cleaning up in front of the house. You know, as parents, I know that we can get these things done quicker, okay? We can get them done quicker, more efficiently, yes we can. But it's part and parcel, it's our job as well to support our children to get these things done too, because it's creativity in action. When they're baking, they're thinking about maths. When they're, I don't know, sweeping up the garden stones, they're thinking about time. How quickly can they get it done before they possibly go back inside and get another task done? So think about how we can bring real life learning to our children as well. You know, when you're filling up the car of petrol, ask them, how much petrol do you think they've put in? How much do you think it's going to cost? Take them shopping. I love to do this one with my children as well. I get them to, I always ask them, after we've put everything on the counter, I say to them, look, how much do you think the shopping's going to come up to? Do you think it's going to be £50, £100? You know, and the closest, the child that's closest to the actual amount wins. So just little things like that really support our children and brings real life learning into their world as well. Because at the end of the day, you know, they're gonna get there. They're gonna have to do these things themselves. They're gonna have to bake and cook and go shopping and all those kind of things. So why not present it to them as a little bit of a game? And you know, it really expands their awareness, and also it helps them to think creatively, which is what we want to do. The next one is modeling curiosity. A lot of the time as parents, we want to demonstrate the fact that we know it all and that we're correct all the time, which we're not. You know, show them that you're thinking through a problem. Let them see you solve problems. You know, if I don't know, if there's no petrol in the car and you just realize that the petrol, you know, that the gauge is down, you might say, okay, right, I'm here. How long is it going to take me to get to the petrol station? Is the petrol going to run out? Let them hear you talking through real life problems, because they'll come to a realization that life isn't just sort of like a tick box thing. They have to work through life. They have to think about things openly in order to solve problems. So we want our children to be keen, curious thinkers that aren't afraid of solving problems. So allow them to see you solve problems, and solving problems in the making as well. It will really help them. And the last one, give them the gift of time. And I really like this one because as parents, a lot of the time we are so worried about them having free time, and we want them engaged in something all the time. But this can actually go against our children, because they get so used to having something to do all the time that when they have a little bit of free time, they're like, I don't know what to do, I'm bored. No, they're not bored. It's the fact that they haven't learnt to be bored. They haven't discovered what to do with boredom. They haven't been given the opportunity to fixate on something for a certain amount of time, and then when they want to change activity, then they can go ahead and do so. Because they need to actually learn to do that, to have an activity, finish an activity, take a little bit of time back, go into another activity, or even selecting an activity. This is a learnt process. So if we are there constantly saying, right, do A, then do B, then do C, you know, it can possibly prevent our children from having the ability to select their own tasks and their own activities to do. So let them be bored and give them the gift of time. If you want to say to them something like, hey, you got 5 minutes, choose an activity. You got 5 minutes, choose an activity to do before we move on, or before we go shopping, or before dinner, or something like that. Give them the time, and again, real life problems, let them know what 5 minutes feels like. You might say 5 minutes, and then you might say, you might do a bit of a countdown, but let them realize what time feels like as well, because unstructured time basically gives them the time to flourish creatively. So that is the end, and those are the 10 things that you as a parent can do to really help your child think creatively and flourish this summer holiday. I've definitely started to implement those things already, and I really hope that's helpful, and you can use at least 1 or 2 of those little tips to help your child flourish as well. So if you're still here, dip into our summer workbook. Our summer workbook is amazing. It is full, jam-packed of so many things to enlighten your child this summer. We have creativity, we have solving money problems, we have maths problems, and we have conversation starters. Ooh, what else is in there? There's just so much. Big kid challenges, can't off the top of my head, entrepreneurial tasks. There's just so much in the booklet that will basically, like things like summer diaries, things like will support your child, and you can work through it throughout the holidays. So for instance, if it's a rainy, groggy day and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got nothing planned, I don't know what to do with my kid, I don't want them on the screen, then hey, grab the booklet, get them to choose a task. It's a fantastic resource, because you don't work through it methodically like you would a book. You can simply choose a simple task, or your child can simply choose a task, dip into it, and then when they've finished that task, they can close the book or go on to another one. Do pop into our Facebook group, because it gives you a few ideas and a few nuggets about what exactly is in our workbook, and I will see you on the next one. I hope that really helped. Take care. It's Cordelia the Educator. Laters.